Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your presenter for today, Mary Anna McKay.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey folks, welcome to today's presentation, Introduction to the American Community Survey, or the ACS. My name is Mary Anna McKay, and I work for the American Community Survey Office at the U.S. Census Bureau. I'm excited to share information about the ACS and the data it provides with you here today. If you have any questions, you're welcome to submit them using the Q&A feature here in WebEx, and my colleagues will try to answer them during my webinar. The PDF version of the slides are available at the link shown on this slide. Also, today's webinar, again, is being recorded, and the recording will be available online after the webinar. Before we talk about the ACS, let's start with a quick overview of the U.S. Census Bureau as a whole. The Census Bureau is the largest of 13 primary federal government statistical agencies. Our mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and economy. We strive to provide the most up-to-date, useful, quality data products and tools. While most people are familiar with the decennial census, we also conduct more than 100 censuses and surveys of households and businesses across the nation each year. This includes the American Community Survey and more than 30 other household surveys. There are also over 60 economic programs. Of these, the Economic Survey is the largest and most comprehensive. There is also information on our nation's public sector provided by the Census of Governments. Let's go over today's agenda. The first part of today's webinar, I will be going over the basics of the American Community Survey, including the history of the survey, how the data are collected, the topics included, and the geographies covered. Next, I will explain the types of tables or data products available from the ACS. After that, I will discuss some of the tools available to help you access ACS data, followed by a demonstration of how to find data using a few of these tools. And finally, I'll also cover some resources available on our website for learning more about the survey. The American Community Survey, or ACS as you're going to hear me refer to it as, is the premier source of detailed information about the nation's people and housing. The survey samples approximately 3 million addresses each year and 150,000 group quarter residents. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for communities throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. The estimates cover more than 40 topics. The ACS collects this detailed information each year that was previously collected by the decennial census each decade. Information from the ACS generates data that help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year, supporting more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. ACS data are timely because they are released the year immediately following the year in which they are collected. The ACS creates period estimates, which means they represent the characteristics of the population and housing over a specific data collection period. The ACS releases estimates for 1 year and 5-year periods. After years of extensive testing, the ACS was fully implemented in 2005, which means yes, we are currently celebrating the 20th anniversary of the ACS this year. The first ACS 1-year estimates, again, were collected in 2005 and released in 2006. The first 5-year ACS estimates were collected between 2005 and 2009 and released in 2010. Let's talk about who uses the ACS and why. As I just mentioned, information from the ACS generates data that help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year. There are also many other uses of ACS data, such as local planners and policymakers, businesses, nonprofits, researchers, and more. Most people probably never think about how local planners use ACS data to know where to target new development or services, or where businesses get data they need to plan for expansion. For example, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission capitalized on ACS data to help shape their Central Ohio Greenways Plan and target projects. To better understand the ACS, why it exists, and how questions are added, removed, or edited from the survey, it is helpful to look at census history. The first U.S. Census was conducted in 1790 and occurred every 10 years. The same questions were asked of households from 1790 through 1930. From 1940 to 2000, every household were asked short-form questions, and a sample of households were asked long-form questions. As their name suggests, the short form included only basic questions, while the long form asked much more detailed questions. This long form approach worked well initially, but the data became outdated as the decade progressed. In the early 1990s, demand from a wide variety of users for current, nationally consistent data led federal government policymakers to consider the feasibility of collecting social, economic, housing, and housing data continuously throughout the decade. This approach was eventually called the American Community Survey. In 2000, a large-scale demonstration of the ACS was conducted. The ACS was then again fully implemented in 2005 and began collecting data for all of America's communities each year. In 2010 and moving forward, the decennial census is only a short form sent to all households because the ACS now collects information each year that was once collected by the long form each decade. So this slide illustrates the progression of the census from its initial one-form method to the short and long form period and to the modern day with the short form conducted every decade and the ACS conducted annually. The ACS is part of the decennial census program. Therefore, it is important to point out how the American Community Survey differs from the census itself. ACS estimates are based on a sample of the population, whereas the census is based on the official count of the population. Every year, over 3.5 million housing unit addresses are contacted to participate in the ACS. The information obtained from the sample of 3.5 million housing unit addresses is then used to estimate characteristics about the total population in a timely and cost-effective manner. However, these estimates differ from those obtained in a census where every single household in the nation is contacted. This results in an element of uncertainty in the ACS data. As such, ACS estimates include margins of error. The margins of error give us more information about the population by telling us how much the estimate may vary from the true population value. But not to worry, we will talk more about margins of error later. What does the ACS collect? The ACS collects information, again, that previously appeared on that census long form. So that means social, economic, housing, and demographic characteristics, whereas the census collects the basic demographics from the short form. So that's age, sex, race, Hispanic origin, household relationship, and housing tenure. What is produced? The ACS produces population and housing characteristics, whereas the census produces population and housing totals and select characteristics. When are the new data available? The ACS occurs annually, reflecting a period of time over which the data are collected, averaging data for 12 months or 60 months, whereas the census occurs every 10 years and reflects a single point in time, so Census Day is April 1st. So how do households participate in the ACS? First, addresses are randomly selected to participate. The ACS data collection operation uses 3 response modes that take place over a 3-month period. Households that receive the survey can respond online, by mail with a paper questionnaire, or by computer-assisted interviewing with a field representative. Typically, for most housing units, the first phase of data collection includes an invitation for the household to respond online, which is mailed to the sample address. If the household does not respond online, a paper questionnaire is sent for the household to complete and return by mail. This self-response phase lasts roughly 8 weeks. For sample addresses or unmailable addresses that the Census Bureau cannot contact, a subsample of these non-responses will be selected for non-response follow-up. This phase lasts about 4 weeks. If the census receives an online response or a completed paper questionnaire from the sampled address at any point of the process, the address will be removed from the data collection workload. Each address has about a 1 in 480 chance of being selected in a month, and no address should be selected more than once every 5 years. Each completed survey is important because it is a building block used to create statistics about communities. The content collected by the American Community Survey can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics that you've heard me say a couple times now: social, economic, demographic, and housing. Taking a closer look at the type of information each of these categories contain. Social characteristics include topics such as education, language spoken at home, and veteran status. Economic characteristics include such topics as commuting to work, employment status, and income. The ACS also collects basic demographic characteristics, again, such as sex, age, race, and Hispanic origin. Housing characteristics include topics such as computer and internet use, housing costs, and new topics added in 2025 include electric vehicles, solar panels, and public sewer connectivity. Data for those new topics are planned to be released in 2026. These topics are used to produce more than 1,000 tables for local communities each year. Along with the numerous topics covered, the ACS also provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. The image on this slide shows some of the geographies for which ACS data are produced and the relationship between them. Lower geographic areas fit neatly within the larger areas directly connected with lines. For example, school, congressional, and state legislative districts fit neatly within states and do not cross state boundaries. However, they may cross boundaries of counties or metropolitan areas. In this visualization, you can also see that the smallest geographic building block for the ACS is the block group, and this contains between 600 to 3,000 people each. This unique ability to report on a wide range of geographies is what gives the ACS such a broad appeal. Covering a wide range of geographic areas, ACS data are most commonly needed at the state, county, place, census tract, and block group geographic levels. This slide illustrates the relationship between these common geographic types and how they are nested within one another, as this example shows in El Paso, Texas. Census tracts are small statistical subdivisions within a county with populations of 1,200 to 8,000 people. Block groups are groups of blocks within a census tract with, again, about 600 to 3,000 people, as you've seen blown out in the right corner of the screen. Again, the ACS has the ability to report on a wide range of geographies, as well as to provide data at very granular levels like census tracts and block groups. The ACS provides three main data products: the 1 year, the 1 year supplemental, and the 5-year estimates. These data products are released about 1 year after the data are collected. ACS data are generally released in the September the calendar year after collection as 1 year estimates, in October the calendar year after collection as 1 year supplemental estimates, and 5-year estimates are generally released in December the calendar year after collection. For example, the 1 year ACS data collected from January 1st through December 31st of 2024 are planned to be released on September 11th of this year, so that's just in a few weeks. ACS 1 year estimates, which combine data collected over 12 months, or 1 year, are available for geographic areas with a population of 65,000 or more. ACS 1 year supplemental estimates are a subset of detailed tables that are available for geographic areas with populations of 20,000 or more. 1 year supplemental estimates are simplified versions of popular ACS tables, and they provide the most current data to almost twice as many geographies compared to the standard 1 year release. ACS 5-year estimates combine data collected over 60 months, or 5 years, and they're available for geographic areas of all sizes down to those granular census tracts and block group levels. The full detailed data release schedule for each year is available on the link you see at the bottom of the slide, which you can also navigate to by going to census.gov/ACS. For the upcoming 2024 ACS data products, the planned releases include September 11th for the 1 year, October 16th for the 1 year supplemental, and finally December 11th for the 2020 to 2024 ACS 5-year data products. Here's a county map that shows you which releases are available for different parts of the country. In this map, the counties shaded dark blue receive 1 year, 1 year supplemental, and 5-year estimates. These are counties with populations of 65,000 or more. The lighter blue counties receive 1 year supplemental and 5-year estimates. These are counties with populations of 20,000 or more, while the yellow counties only receive 5-year estimates. So these are the counties with populations below 20,000. If you live in many states in the Northeast, there are a lot of counties that meet that 65,000 population threshold, which means you can get the latest 1 year data each year. On the West Coast, most of the counties also get the 1-year data. But in parts of the Midwest, especially in the Dakotas stretching down to North Texas, so that's the yellow shaded areas, those have much greater reliance on 5-year data. However, for counties shaded in yellow, once combined into a larger population geography like a state, the state itself will receive the 1-year data due to meeting that 65,000 population threshold. For example, many of the counties in North and West Texas are shaded yellow and therefore only receive 5-year data. But when those smaller counties are combined into a larger population geography like the state of Texas itself, data users can find 1-year and 5-year data for Texas as a whole state. All right, now that we've covered some background information about the ACS, let's jump into the data products or types of tables that the ACS provides. We offer many different types of data products to meet the needs of our data users. Pre-tabulated profiles and tables are products that are already created for you. The data profiles are good places to start for novice data users, as they contain the most frequently requested social, economic, housing, and demographic data in a separate profile. The data profiles summarize the data for a single geographic area, providing both estimates and percentages to cover the most basic data of all ACS topics. Tables provide a precise or detailed view of the subject. They are the best source for the most comprehensive ACS tables. If you're not able to find an existing table to meet your needs, we also offer public use microdata sample or PUMS files that allow you to create custom tables. PUMS files contain a sample of individual records of people and households that responded to the survey stripped of all identifying information, and they are best for data users with expertise in using statistical packages. Now that you understand more about the types of data products we offer, let's talk about how we identify the ACS products. While the characters of the table ID may look random at first, each table ID is purposefully numbered to describe its content and format. For example, B06004APR shows that the table contains place of birth statistics for the white alone population in Puerto Rico. So how did I get there? Table IDs consist of up to 5 elements. Element 1 identifies the table type. In this example, the type of table is a base table, which is a type of detail table. Therefore, the letter B is used. Element 2 identifies the subject. In this case, the subject of the table is place of birth, which is 06, as that's code. Element 3 is a sequential number, so that's a set of 2 or 3 digits that uniquely identifies the table within a given subject. So for this table, it's 004. Element 4 is the race iteration for that table. Each table is repeated for the 9 major race and Hispanic or Latino groups. So the A stands for white alone. Element 5 is for tables where the content of the table for Puerto Rico differs from the United States table. A comparable US table ID will have the first 4 elements here, but without that 5th element, PR. Another feature you'll see in our data products is the inclusion of a margin of error, or MOE, that I mentioned earlier in this presentation. And that's next to each of the ACS estimates. So because the ACS is based on a sample rather than all housing units and people like the decennial census, ACS estimates have a degree of uncertainty associated with them called sampling error. In general, the larger the sample, the smaller the level of sampling error. To help users understand the impact of sampling error on data reliability, we provide a margin of error for each ACS estimate. Margins of error allow data users to be certain that, at a given level of confidence, the estimate and the actual population value differ by no more than the value of the margin of error. The Census Bureau uses a 90% confidence level as its standard. All ACS estimates published on data.census.gov have margins of error calculated at that 90% confidence level. It's also important to note that the margins of error provided by the Census Bureau are always in the same units as their respective estimates. For instance, a percent estimate will have a margin of error that's in percents, and a median income estimate will have a margin of error in dollars. Here we have a typical table, subject table S0101, age and sex, as it is displayed on data.census.gov. for the state of Maryland using 2023 ACS one-year estimates. I have the row I'm going to work with highlighted here, but let's go over the basics first. So as you can see, the table has three elements. So we have the characteristics, so that's the descriptions. We have percent female, we have estimate, and then we have under 5 years. We have the estimates themselves, and then their accompanying margins of error. So put simply, the margin of error, or MOE, is the measure of the possible variation of an estimate around the population value. In this example, we want to know the percentage of females under the age of 5 who live in Maryland. We find the lower bound by subtracting the margin of error from the estimate. And similarly, we find the upper bound by adding the estimate and margin of error. So here we are 90% confident that the true percentage of females under age 5 in Maryland falls between the lower bound of 5.3% and the upper bound of 5.5%. Now that we are familiar with ACS data products, I want to briefly go over data tools which provide and use ACS data, and I will also finish this section with a few demonstration of data tools. So depending on what your needs are, we likely have the perfect data access tool for you. So this is a collection of a few of these tools, and I'm going to go through a handful of these in a little bit more detail, but you can find these tools, resources on how to use them, and more all on the census.gov website. So data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's main data dissemination platform and is the primary way to access data from the American Community Survey. Data.census.gov allows users to filter searches through topics or geographies, download data files, and create customized maps and charts. It includes ACS data from 2010 to present. There are a variety of how-to materials, video tutorials, webinars, and FAQs to help you use data.census.gov. To learn more, please visit the links at the bottom of the slide, and I will also be giving a brief demonstration in just a moment using this tool. My congressional district gives you quick and easy access to selected statistics from the American Community Survey and County Business Patterns. County Business Patterns is an annual series that provides subnational economic data by industry. This series includes the number of establishments, employment, first quarter payroll, and annual payroll. So you can use this tool for information on congressional districts, and then statistics on people, workers, housing, socioeconomics, education, and business. You can also embed this app on your website for users to use. Narrative profiles are short, analytic reports derived from ACS 5-year estimates. Each narrative profile covers 18 different topic areas and provides text and bar charts to display highlights of selected social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for a selected geographic area. Several geographic levels are available for narrative profiles, including county, place, census tract, and zip code tabulation area. This tool also features an address lookup option that allows you to see geographies an address is nested within. Narrative profiles pull exclusively from the most recent ACS 5-year estimates. And again, this is another tool you're going to see me use in just a little bit. On the Map for Emergency Management tool is a good resource to assist in evaluating the impact of a potentially affected area or learn from the history of a disaster. On the Map for Emergency Management automatically incorporates real-time data updates from the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center for hurricanes, floods, and winter storms, the Federal Emergency Management Agency for disaster areas, and the Department of Interior and Department of Agriculture for wildfires. And finally, Census Bureau for the demographic and economic data, including the American Community Survey. My Tribal Area is a tool that allows you to access statistics representing the entire population that lives on American Indian and Alaska Native areas. It features the latest ACS 5-year estimates at the reservation and tribal area level. Users are able to utilize a type ahead search function and search by state for tribal areas. And these data provide features people, jobs, housing, economy, and education topics. And my final spoiler alert here is this is going to be the third tool I'm demonstrating for you all today. My Community Explorer is an interactive tool highlighting demographic and socioeconomic data, helping data users identify underserved communities to support database solutions. This map-based tool allows users to find the states and counties of their interest by finding the locations on the map or by using the filter functions. So featured datasets that power My Community Explorer include ACS 5-year estimates of demographic, social, and economic topics at the state, county, and census tract levels. Other datasets, such as the community resilience estimates, the county business patterns, and non-employer statistics, are also used to power this tool. We finally made it to the last tool I want to highlight today. In keeping with our modern era of information on the go, the Census Bureau has created an application programming interface, or API, for developers to utilize publicly available detailed ACS data in the development of web or mobile apps. The API contains multiple datasets as well as datasets from other censuses and programs. This is where you can also find ACS data prior to 2010. Formats available for these apps include HTML, XML, and JSON. You can also check out a related training presentation using the Census API with the American Community Survey on the ACS website for more information. Additionally, my colleagues just presented a wonderful webinar last month in July that I've linked on this presentation that gives a great overview of how to access ACS data on the API. I want to now take some time to demonstrate a few ACS data tools. I've already spoiled all of my surprises on what tools they will be, but to remind you, I'm going to access data from data.census.gov, narrative profiles, and my tribal area. So why might you want to access each of these tools specifically? If you want to be able to view margins of error or conduct statistical testing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you would turn to data.census.gov. You would also use data.census.gov if you wanted more than basis statistics or cross-tabulated data for a large number of geographies. For example, if I wanted to know the percentage of children under 5 who are enrolled in school in all cities in my state, I'm going to use data.census.gov. Some data users may be interested in a broad picture of their community. For that, you can turn to narrative profiles. And finally, My Tribal Area is a tool that's going to allow you to access statistics representing the populations that live on American Indian and Alaska Native areas. So we're going to start with data.census.gov, and I'm going to jump over to my browser. So you're simply going to go to data.census.gov. And ultimately here, I'm going to find estimates about median housing value at the county level. Different roads will lead you to the same destination, so what I'm going to show is not the only way to do it, it's just my preferred way. So to start, I'm going to click on the advanced search feature. This is going to allow me to take filters, so I'm going to use geographic filters and then topic filters. So from here, I'm going to click on county, and counties are nested within states, so I'm going to scroll down to the state of Ohio, and then I'm going to select all counties within Ohio. So give yourself a second with data.census.gov. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. So once that loads, I'm going to then hop to add another topic filter. So I see it's selected here, all counties within Ohio. We're just waiting for more filters. I'm going to go to housing. Then I'm going to click on financial characteristics. And finally, I'll click housing value and purchase price. I can either go down here to click search, or I can just click tables along the top to see which tables are relevant to my filters here. So I can scroll down, I can explore tables. Today, I actually know exactly what I want. I want table B25077, that's median value in dollars. So I'm just going to click on this table to see what we're looking at. So here along the top, I can see the table title. It's from the American Community Survey, so we're in the right place. The universe for this table is owner-occupied housing units, and this is from the 2023 ACS 5-year estimate. So that's the latest ACS 5-year product. So from here, I can click on maps. So let's just see what the map's going to look like. This is a relatively simple table. It only has one row with the estimates and then their respective margins of error. So if I click here, I can see that this is Delaware County. This is showing my median value of owner-occupied units. So I can see that the median value is $419,500. So I'm going to click back to the table. You're always able to do a lot here. So you can click on more tools. You're able to download. I will say that the Excel file is going to be the one that mirrors data.census.gov as you see here the closest. Now from here, I'm going to clear all counties within Ohio. I'm only interested in 2 counties. So I'm going to go back to that county filter. I'm going to scroll down to Ohio, and I'm interested in 2 counties, Franklin County and then Madison County. I still have that housing value and purchase price filter selected, and I'm going to go right back to that same table. Now, as I see here, I'm only seeing one of the 2 counties. Franklin County is relatively large, so that could give me a little bit of a clue what's going on. And I see automatically that the 2023 ACS 1-year estimates are what is being displayed here. So my assumption is Madison County is going to be small. So I'm going to click on there and just select the ACS 5-year to see if that was the solution. And we can see here Madison County is much smaller. So it was not in the ACS 1-year estimates, it's only in the 5-year. So if you're selecting a lot of different geographies and you're not seeing them all show up, just make sure you do that one last check to make sure you've selected a 5-year data set, because that's going to include all geographies down to those census tract and block group levels. And it's also going to have, it's not going to have that 65,000 population threshold that the 1-year does. So let's move on to the next tool demonstration. So we're going to go to census.gov/ACS. So we're just going to the ACS main webpage. We're going to click on data along the left. Then you click on data tables. And then the second option down here is narrative profiles. So again, you see that it's going to pull from the latest ACS 5-year estimates. And we see all of these options for geographies to choose from. We can, if you want to skip all the bells and whistles of like clicking through and finding it, you can always use that address lookup option to figure out what your specific address, what geographies it is nested within. But for today, I feel like going through all the buttons. So I'm going to click on place. Places are within the state. So I'm going to click on New York State. And then New York has a lot of places. So I can actually start typing on my keyboard. I'm going to type in Perry. We see Perry Village. I'm going to click on it. And then I just have to click narrative profile here. So my profile is loading. Again, it's going to be the 18 different topics specifically just for Perry Village here. So we can scroll down and see those topics as they're shown. I'm going to scroll down. I know that commuting is something that I'm interested in today. So we will go down and find commuting. So we can see here in this graph that 72.2% of workers from Perry Village drive alone, and they drive a car, truck, or van. So I can see it here. I can also click. It's a little bit hard, so let me zoom in. And now that's a lot. So we can view data in table format. So you just see it represented in a different way. And then the great thing here is, let me zoom out. I keep on zooming in. All of these topics have the source themselves. So I can click on DP03 and it's going to take me back to data.census.gov that we just saw. And it's going to have the table that those data are pulled from right here for Perry Village. So if you want to see what you were looking at and more, you can see that here. So the final tool I'm going to show is my tribal area. So we're going to go to census.gov/tribal, and it will take us to my tribal area. Now, if you know the area you're interested in, you can start typing it in the search bar, or you can go by state. Again, I like going down by state. So today I'm going to select California. And then again, California has a lot. And so I'm going to start to type in La Jolla, because that's the reservation. That's the geography I'm interested in today. I'm going to click on it. It displays a map. So now I see where La Jolla Reservation is. And then along here, I have all of these topics that I can explore the ACS estimates for. So we can jump over to housing. We can jump over to economy. And again, I'll zoom in a little bit because I see that it might be hard to see on your screens. So I can just scroll, see health insurance coverage, percentage of families and people whose income in the past 12 months is below the poverty level, and just a whole host of estimates for you here for this specific geography. Let me hop back over. So now let's talk about the variety of resources the Census Bureau provides for learning more about the ACS data, tools, and about the survey at large. So I'm going to hop back over to my browser again and start with the ACS main webpage. So let me go here. I'm going to type in census.gov/ACS. So this is a great tool to start with if you have any questions about the ACS. And this website has a wealth of information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. So have you ever been curious about why we ask certain topics on the ACS? So from the ACS home webpage, let's click on About the ACS. And then here at the bottom, we have this why we ask each question. So every question has a required purpose and many uses to help communities. So you can explore this set of why we ask web pages to discover the importance of each question. So for each topic, you can click to learn more. So we can browse some of the most popular results from the question. Let's click on housing costs for owners. You can see how the questions appear on the form. And then again, you can see popular results from those questions. And again, we also provide information on the origin of the question, how we protect your privacy, and how ACS statistics help communities. Links to our data tables and tools page can be found through the ACS data page, again, on the census.gov ACS webpage. These pages will introduce you to the most popular tools and data products, some of which we talked about today, with descriptions and links for each. So again, you can find links to the tools like data.census.gov, My Congressional District, and others that you may have interest in. The tables page will provide definitions of each table type, as well as links to the tools where those products can be found. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the ACS provides millions of estimates, and that is a strength of the ACS, estimating characteristic distributions. The Census Bureau recommends that users compare population characteristics such as percents, means, medians, and rates rather than estimates of population totals, as they are often more reliable than the corresponding count estimates, but count estimates can be used if necessary. Because of this, we recommend that users compare percentages instead of counts where possible, but again, users can always compare count estimates if their needs require it. Now, if you're looking for population totals, we recommend using the Decennial Census or Population Estimates Program. When an estimate from the Population Estimates Program, or PEP, is available, such as the total population or number of males or females in a county, the PEP data is the official value and is preferred. In general, the Census Bureau recommends that you do compare estimates from non-overlapping periods. For example, compare a 2014 to 2018 ACS 5-year estimate to a 2019-2023 ACS 5-year estimate. Do not compare overlapping periods. For example, 2018 to 2022 ACS 5-year estimate to the 2019-2023 ACS 5-year estimates would not be a proper comparison. According to Chapter 4 of our General Users Handbook, overlapping datasets share the same pooled data collected during their overlapping years. Do compare similar period lengths. So for example, compare 1 year to 1 year or 5 year to 5 year. So don't compare estimates from different period lengths. So don't compare a 1 year to a 5 year. Visit the comparison guidance page for broad information about comparing ACS estimates across years and the 2010 and 2020 census. As I mentioned earlier, the ACS collects data from a sample of the population in the United States and Puerto Rico rather than from the whole population. So all ACS data are estimates. To help you interpret the reliability of the estimates, the Census Bureau publishes a margin of error that I described earlier for every ACS estimate. Unless you take into account these margins of error, you cannot conclude that estimates are statistically different from one another. Instead, you have to conduct statistical testing when making comparisons between estimates to check for any differences. We will talk more about this in just a second, but looking at estimates alone to decide if they are higher or lower than another is not sufficient. Now let's discuss that statistical testing and its importance. Statistical testing is an important tool and part of data analysis, as it can tell us whether or not a difference in estimates is meaningful. In short, a statistical test is a test to determine if a difference is unlikely to have occurred by chance. To be significantly different, there must be statistical evidence that there's a difference between two estimates. Statistical testing should be conducted any time you make comparisons between two estimates. For example, if you're going to the city council or county council asserting that a certain population has experienced poverty in higher proportions in recent years than it had in years prior, you must make sure you've tested to know that a true difference exists. Or if you're a transportation planner in your county and you want to make the case for projects based on perceived longer commute times, you'll want to conduct statistical testing before proceeding with project proposals to confirm that the estimated commute times have actually increased. This slide contains the formula for testing statistical significance. I have very good and exciting news for the majority of you here today. You do not need to worry about relearning advanced algebra because the Census Bureau actually provides its statistical testing tool for public use. This tool allows you to input estimates you'd like to test and receive an instant visual notification of whether the estimates are statistically different or not. Using the tool, you can compare both pairs of estimates and groups of estimates against each other. The tool is available for download as an Excel spreadsheet at the link at the bottom of the slide. If you want to learn more about how to calculate statistical comparisons using ACS estimates and how to use that tool, please check out a recorded webinar we conducted highlighting best practices when using the ACS data. Moving on. Now for you users that have accessed the data but need more information to understand the tables and complete their analysis, we do offer code lists, subject definitions, group quarter definitions, instructions for applying statistical testing, comparison guidance, and accuracy of the data in our technical documentation section. I want to also point out our information for web pages. These pages are organized by ACS user type, such as businesses, general users, media, nonprofits, and researchers, among many others. These pages provide resources for each type of user and include specific handbooks aimed toward a user type, relevant flyers for users, and much more. Basically, it's a one-stop shop for finding resources as they pertain to the type of data user you all are. This also means that there are quick links to access ACS data through tools like data.census.gov and more that I just highlighted. Before I catch you later, I wanted to invite you to keep in touch with us. One way is by sharing your ACS data story. This allows data enthusiasts across the country to share the creative ways they are using ACS data to make a difference in their community. If you are someone who has used ACS for your community, organization, or business, please consider submitting your story today. If you aren't already, please consider becoming a member of the ACS Data Users Group. This group includes a website and online community with over 7,000 members where you can share messages, materials, and announcements related to the survey. Membership is free and open to any interested ACS data user of any skill level. You can also sign up for and manage email updates from us here at the ACS. Our monthly events and updates email will alert you when new materials are available, and you'll stay updated on our data releases. In closing, I want to share information on how to find answers and get support after we part ways today. Again, you can always visit census.gov/ACS. It's just a great resource with information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. No matter if today is the first day in your ACS data journey or it's just a brief stop along the road trip to fill your gas tank, we are here to help you. If you have a question about the ACS, do not hesitate to send us an email at acso.users.support@census.gov or call the number you see here. Census Academy is our learning hub for data skills. You can learn how to access and use Census Bureau data for your way through our how-to data gem videos and in-depth courses, webinars, and tutorials. In fact, we even have a course on there for discovering the American Community Survey. This page also has a link where you can request a training at no cost from our data dissemination specialists. They are located within your region and they can provide you with assistance about Census Bureau data, such as how to obtain or understand ACS data. Whether conducting one-on-one webinars with business startups or conducting large-scale presentations at universities, these specialists strive to put the public in touch with the data they need. If you're on social media, connect with us at US Census Bureau using the hashtag ACSData. And one last thing, if you're using ACS estimates, please make sure to source the Census Bureau American Community Survey as to where you received the data. It helps people know that the information they're using is powered by the ACS. This concludes today's webinar on the introduction to the American Community Survey. Thank you so much for spending the time with me here today, and I hope you enjoyed it.